Alright, I finally finished my Furina build. It did take a while, and yes, I have been testing her out so much since yesterday when I was able to pull for her. If you haven't checked out my pulling video, you can definitely see how much it cost me in order to actually get my desired Furina. But yes, after all, today as usual on the channel, we're having a huge video discussing some of the best Furina teams out there in terms of meta wise, as well as free to play player. You're also covered as well. So yes, definitely going to be a very fun video for us to see different teams that Furina can be featured in. And so with that, let's just dive straight in. So first off, before we touch on the best team, I want to talk about some of the most important notes you want to keep in mind when you're using Furina, so that you're basically aware of everything regarding her. Now you're pretty much aware that everyone's saying how broken Furina actually is, and yes, I would definitely say that's also the case, but what actually makes Furina such a broken character? First off, it's because she has access to her E skill off-field damage that's actually on basically the same level as Yelan, and we already know how broken of a character Yelan's sub DPS power is. But more than that, at C0, she's basically giving your team a whopping free 75% damage bonus to your whole team. This is not like Bennett buff where only the active character and anyone that snapshots gets the buff, or you know, Kazuha buff where you're required to swirl the correct element in order to get his buff. Nope, this is direct, straight up 75% damage increase to your whole team at C0, which is the biggest reason why Furina is technically the best support buffing character in the game right now. However, of course, there are some things you do want to note whenever you're using her, because the biggest thing is that she's going to be sucking out your team's HP quite constantly if you're above 50%. And yes, the requirement in order for her E skill to be buffed, as well as her burst buffing your whole team, is that your team must also basically be above 50% as well, so that she's able to convert that HP sapping into the attacking power. Therefore guys, using Furina would require you to focus on having a specific healer on your team, especially those that has team-wide healing. You know, when talking about 5-star character, that would means Jean, Kokomi. For 4-star, we do have a couple that's actually pretty good. For team-wide healing, we have, you know, like Barbara, Yao Yao, Sayu even works now. Noelle is definitely a candidate. Charlotte, even Mika has his own place right now. Obviously, you know, character like Bennett, Kuki Shinobu can still be there. However, we do note that they are only healing the active character, so you would require to have a little bit more switching whenever you are using them as a healer. Of course, also the most important thing too is that even though Furina can heal your team, she is definitely not a healer when you're in battle situation, because whenever you switch to her healing modes or other DPS capability that she has for your whole team and for her shuts down, which is a huge DPS loss on your side. So I would never recommend you to have her as a dedicated healer for you, and it's more or less just a comfortability whenever you're going on adventuring. Furthermore, even though that she does have sub DPS hydro application, it is still usually advised that you have her on double hydro team with characters such as Yelan and Xingqiu, so that they can help her a lot more with hydro application. Otherwise, you would be lacking a little bit in terms of hydro app if you have her as a sole hydro character. But more than that, being a sole hydro character would mean that you're required to have a lot more energy recharge onto her, because as you know, her burst is absolutely one of the most important thing on her kit. So with her burst downtime means that you're lost in DPS numbers. So do keep that in mind. And I would say that's some of the most important thing you want to keep in mind whenever you're using Furina. Of course, that since she is a sub DPS support character, Furina, yes, can definitely be fit onto any teams that you want. But due to how her kit works, she is specifically going to be working on some teams that's clearly going to be better than just you fitting her into any team that you want. And first team that would be featuring Furina, Nuvillet, Fischl, and Jean. If you want a similar version of this team for an F2P gameplay, then that would be Furina, Barbara, Fischl, and Sucrose. Now, New Village was a character who was released right before Furina, and yes, his team was quite lacking back then. However, with the introduction of Furina, New Village team is basically complete. Furina just buffed New Village into a whole new level, even when New Village was already an absolutely amazing character when he was first released. So yes, very comfortable having Furina on New Village team alongside with Fischl, obviously still his best companion in terms of electro charge and off-field damage for helping out your team. Jean, guys, is not just an important character on this team, but basically Jean's a character that is going to be a specific healer for Furina on any kind of team. You want to build Furina, just slap Jean right next to her, and yes, the rest of a 2 slot you want to fit into any character, usually that would be fine. That's just how important of a character Jean actually is. So yes, definitely very good team for you guys to try out in terms of invested level. Try clearing the abyss with this team and then just sweep it so fast. Next team, we have Furina, Hu Tao, Yelan, and Jean. If you want a similar version of this for free to play, then that would be Furina, Xiangling, Xingqiu, and Ben. It's basically a national team version of this. So yes, a little bit of an investment on the free to play side, but the team is very much powerful. Hu Tao has always been a character that have access to a lot of good teams, but with the introduction of Furina, again, she'll just taken to the next level. With double Hydro here, we have even more HP increase that definitely supports with Hu Tao. Not to mention, Yelan and Furina also have access to damage attack buff that would be even higher. And as for Jean, yes, if you have up to a C2 Jean, then that would increase the normal attack speed of Hu Tao too, so you don't really have to rely too much on her charge attack whenever you're on stamina downtime. But yes, everyone on this specific team just gonna be buffing Hu Tao damage by a ton, and that's just very much favorable for her. The only thing you might be asking is that with having Jean here, Hu Tao won't be able to have access to her 50% lower damage increase. Then I would say that is the case. However, due to so much damage has been buffed toward Hu Tao that actually she doesn't even need that 50% lower damage buff anymore, and you're just going to be focusing on having all of your other support character buffing Hu Tao, and that's going to be more than enough for her already. Okay, next up, another absolutely insane team that was introduced when Furina came is Mono Hydro with Furina, Yelan, Kokomi, and Kazuha. If we're playing a free-to-play version, that would be Furina, Xingqiu, Barbara, and Sucrose. Absolutely insane of the team, guys. Usually the only thing that stops Mono Hydro in its track is definitely up against Hydro resistance and immunity character. Other than that, this team just kick everything out of Tavat, because every character on this team is just gonna go insane with all of the buff. Yes, you're basically having some of the best buffer in the game helping out each other with Hydro Resonance. Furina, Yelan, Kazuha, everyone have access to huge buff, and Kokomi is gonna be technically the driver on this team with her burst being able to heal team wide, covering everything that Furina needs. And yes, you're just gonna be seeing big blue number everywhere on screen, which is very fun. Just hopefully that your enemies is able to survive long enough for you to see those kind of numbers, because the damage ceiling of Genshin Impact whenever Furina was introduced has just been raised to a new standard. Next team, we have Furina, Nahida, Yelan, and Kuki Shinobu. If you want a version, that would be Toma, and if you're using Toma, I recommend you swapping Jean into Yelan's place so that we have a dedicated healer. But yes, overall Furina will still work pretty well in Hyper Bloom team, functioning absolutely perfect for the team. We do already have 2 Archon here on this team, which is really great. And yeah, what else can I say, because Hyper Bloom and Bergian teams are some of the best teams that can run in the game already. With Furina buffing that even higher, this team damage ceiling has just been raised quite a lot. Next we have Furina, Ayaka, Shanhe, and Jean, an absolutely new version of our Cryo Freeze team, especially for Ayaka, where in the past that would usually be Ayaka, Shanhe, Kokomi, and Kazuha, but now with having Furina giving another insane buff level, we just have that running alongside with Jean, which is absolutely perfect. Before, Ayaka Shanhe has already shred the enemies so fast that the eye can see. Now it is even faster. The only thing is that we don't usually have crowd control if we're using this team, but in terms of Furina sub DPS power, her attack is already good enough for us if we're dealing with a lot lots of group situations. And yes, other than that, if it's single targeted, then you can be guaranteed that your boss enemy is just going to be taken out super duper fast. Now guys, there's also a pretty much honorable mention in terms of a free-to-play team that I want to talk about, because this team is very unique and technically became very much viable when Furina came, and I would say that is going to be a team regarding Noelle of running with Furina, Goro and Bennett. So technically speaking, Noelle has been hugely buffed after Furina came, because yes, even without Goro and Bennett, Noelle is already a comfy character that is able to run alongside with Furina, because she's a character that can attack while healing your team at the same time. So you can also slot 2 of the flex character remaining on Noelle's team, but I dedicatedly use Bennett and Goro here to specifically buff Noelle attacking power even higher, definitely, as well as Furina's as well, running alongside with Your Resonance, which we haven't seen in a while, which works perfectly with Noelle. And yes, you will never have to worry about this team lacking in healing, because we've got way too many healer already. Not to mention, if you have up to a C4 Goro, yes, that's even more healing capability for you. And if you have a dedicated Goro at C6, that's going to be pretty much even better. So guys, those I would say are some of the best Furina teams that she can run in right now. I hope that gives you a lot of inspiration in terms of building for Furina team. As I've mentioned, she is a sub DPS character that works pretty much in any team that you want. So yeah, just build your team accordingly to which character you have on your account. I hope that was a very fun video for you. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, as I'll be posting a lot more Furinas and more fun Genshin Impact video for you. I really appreciate you guys sticking with me till this part of the video, guys. And with that, I wish you a super day, and I will catch you on my next video.